I'm like that. Sega Sonic moving so fast, smoking all this chronic from the green pandemonium. Crowds turn supersonic when I get out of this honor. Spit it from the heart. Artist knows how to kick a lick to make it harder. More smarter, fire starter, smack it louder, push it harder, cause I know I got a hit to prove I got it. Pandemonium, with the flow I got going on rap consortiums. Yeah, that's right, take flight tonight. Clear the atmosphere so we can see alright. Don't trip, don't flip, just click with this. Whole tip from it, you get so wet. Dead set, I'm sitting on a whole new level. Collaborate for bass, then work in the treble. Some say I'm the devil cause I spit so fly. Never giving me props, they be wondering why I can't get up cause something's pulling me back down. It's like at the end I'm supposed to drown, but I won't give up cause I got a taste of it, oh, pandemonium. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Ha, here's what I got. 50 cops, names, addresses, and hands thrown in this plot. Yeah, we all got our own little part to play, cause if we don't, at the end, gangsters don't play. So say okay to what gets played. Pop your legs, sit back and make it bread. Just open your head to a mindset that's so wet. Don't stress, you know I got this. Got your back, yeah, I promise that I won't rewind or skip back on the track. That's for real, what I got going on. Flex out a track just to get my legs on. For so long, things were so wrong. And then I hit this and pandemonium comes along to prove right on that with a tight feel, you can make a crowd jump. Yeah, it's time for me to feel that, kick that, hit that, take it on out and spit that. Show these freaks that I can make that pandemonium. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Pandemonium. That's right, feel a kickback at the end of your lungs. Pandemonium. When you get that thing that's turn that switch right on. Pandemonium. Don't trip, that just hit that same old, play that song. Pandemonium. Can you feel it coming on? Pandemonium. That's right, feel a kickback at the end of your lungs. Pandemonium. When you get that flip, that turn that switch right on. Pandemonium. Don't trip, that just hit that same old, play that song. Pandemonium. Can you feel it coming on?
Middle of the night, lying in bed. Middle of the dream, rhymes running through my head. Wake up in the morning, gotta write them down. Pick up the mic just to see how they sound. Cue up the beat, put it on the 4-track. Record the rhymes, then play and walk back. Later that day, walking down the street, iPod earbuds, just rocking this beat. Rock the beat inside of the bass bins. It's time to feel the vibrations. Put a smile on all of the faces. Gonna take it back to the basics. Gonna take it back to the basics. Put a smile on all of the faces. It's time to feel the vibrations of the beat inside of the bass bins. Meet up with the friend. Give him a copy. Looking for feedback. He's a disc jockey. If he thinks sound, he might just play it. Live on the air, he might just say it. It's Donnie Ozone's brand new track. Call us, let us know if it's dope or whack. If the people dig it, hot rotation. Rocking this beat at the radio station. Rock the beat inside of the bass bins. It's time to feel the vibrations. Put a smile on all of the faces. Gonna take it back to the basics. Gonna take it back to the basics. Put a smile on all of the faces. It's time to feel the vibrations of the beat inside of the bass bins. Independent heard it, like did a lot. Do you wanna press it up? So I said, why not? 7-inch vinyl, 500 copies. Creative Commons, so you don't have to pay me. Send it to the college, radio stations. Let's spread the word to the underground nation. Later that week, walking down the street, I heard a couple cars just rocking this beat. Rock the beat inside of the bass bins. It's time to feel the vibrations. Put a smile on all of the faces. Gonna take it back to the basics. Gonna take it back to the basics. Put a smile on all of the faces. It's time to feel the vibrations of the beat inside of the bass bins.
The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord.
It's the one. Standing on the battlefield, got my sword, I got my shield, hoping that these homies will turn the cheek to help me feel ready to fight the fight, to live the life, a right to prove to this road that there ain't no termite. There is no turning back, it's no taking slack, it's no feeling fear. There's a reason why I'm here. Warrior, I'm a kingdom warrior. Euphoria is the title that I'm serving ya. Extraterrestrial, you know me, Mr. Dougal, Mr. Snookums, hip hop MC. Finding every track to keep the feel wet. Follow higher ups, taking crazy on my sets. Warrior, I'm a kingdom warrior. Warrior, with the power I use. Warrior, blood of God's begotten son. Warrior, yeah, he's the holy one.
Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
We do, however, speak a message of wisdom among the mature.
Yeah, I'm strong, no I won't back down. As I run to higher powers, don't run from holy grounds. Cause on God, I do rely. As I sound my battle cry, enter the ring so fly. Everyone freed from all hell bounds. The strongholds are up, so these walls will come down. I'm claiming victory with a trumpet so sweet. For 40 days, 40 nights, you hear me. While you contemplating, his homies is skating. Ready to live, to give it up for our savior. Our warrior, total euphoria. Right up in the corner like a coward thug.
I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and departed my land.
Hey, yo, it's the end of the show. These walls are down, time to open the vault. Weapons unmatched, shackles unlashed. Time to let this pit bull out of his hash. Doors wide open, mouths wide shut. Don't be back chatting to this big bad mutt. Your fingers were crossed, the black book's tossed. What makes you think you can hang with us? Two hard-hitting MCs be quitting. Ain't joining up with him, cause no one will join with me. Words so wise, they pour from the sky. He gave his only son, yet still we crucify. spitting thugs hanging right here with me. The big, the thug, the one, the only writing right through me. My pen, my paper, I'm told to save it, to write my lyrics, line it up in the pavement. If not in the ground, then in the sky. Some people walk around, can't remember why. Still up on living while he had to die. First he said hello, then we make him say goodbye. Although I know why he'd wanna do it again, I won't let him do it cause he's so legend. I'm like that. Sega Sonic moving so fast, smoking all this chronic from the green pandemonium. Crowds turn supersonic when I get on it. This honor spit it from the hot. Artist knows how to kick a lick to make it harder. More smarter, fire starter, smack it louder, push it harder, cause I know I got a hit to prove I got it. Pandemonium, with the flow I got going on, rap consortiums. Yeah, that's right, take flight tonight. Clear the atmosphere so we can see alright. Don't trip, don't flip, just click with this. Whole tip from it, you get so wet. Dead set, I'm sitting on a whole new level. Collaborate for bass, then work in the treble. Some say I'm the devil, cause I spit so fly. Never giving me props, they be wondering why. I can't get up, cause something's pulling me back down. It's like at the end, I'm supposed to drown. But I won't give up, cause I got a taste of it, oh, pandemonium. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Ha! Here's what I got, 50 cops, names, addresses, and hands joining in this plot. Yeah, we all got our own little part to play, cause if we don't, at the end, gangsters don't play. So say okay to what gets played. Pop your legs, sit back and make it friend. Just open your head to a mindset that's so wet. Don't stress, you know I got this. Got your back, yeah, I promise that I won't rewind or skip back on the track. That's for real, what I got going on. Flex out a track just to get my legs on. For so long, things were so wrong. And then I hit this and pandemonium comes along to prove right on that with a tight feel, you can make a crowd jump. Yeah, it's time for me to feel that, kick that, hit that, take it on out and spit that. Show these freaks that I can make that pandemonium. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Pandemonium. Yeah, homies, I feel it so deep, I breathe it out my lungs. Pandemonium. True grit, I spit that straight from the tip of my tongue. Pandemonium. I feel it flip switch when it does, yeah, it turns me on. Pandemonium. I feel it coming on. Pandemonium. That's right, feel a kickback at the end of your lungs. Pandemonium. When you get that thing, that's turn that switch right on. Pandemonium. Don't trip, that just hit that same old, play that song. Pandemonium. Can you feel it coming on? Pandemonium. That's right, feel a kickback at the end of your lungs. Pandemonium. When you get that flip, that's turn that switch right on. Pandemonium. Don't trip, that just hit that same old, play that song. Pandemonium. Can you feel it coming on?